Hi guys, if you're watching this between September the 1st and September the 10th 2024, then you've probably downloaded these writing and journaling pages for free from the Leads to Dollars bundle. I'll leave the link in the description below. If you're watching outside of that time, you can still grab this template from my shop, and I'll leave a link to that with a 50% discount for my YouTube viewers. So what you'll receive is a PDF, something like this, with a link to the template pages in US and A4 size, and a link to this video. So when you click on these links, you'll come to a page like this for the US size, and this one for the A4 size. Very similar looking. Simply open this in your Canva account, and it will come up with these templates. Each of these templates has 20 pages. I'll show you in the grid view. Different lined pages with some spaces for drawing to use for writing and journaling. The main difference you'll find between the A4 and US templates is the spacing for the grid and the dot grid is approximately 1/4 of an inch for the US size and a 1/2 centimeter for the A4 size. So let's start with this grid first. It's made up of a series of lines going in both directions. If you, at the moment I have it all grouped together, so some of these things you may have to unlock to move them around, and it's grouped together so that I can move it around as one. But if you don't want it grouped, simply press ungroup up here, or you can right click and ungroup. So now they're all individual lines. If you want to change the distance between the lines, for example, if we want to make it 1 centimeter, we'd want to get rid of about half of the lines, and we'll drag this last line across. You have to be careful not to accidentally select other lines while you're doing this. If you're having trouble not selecting other lines, you can highlight them and lock them into position while you're trying to do other things. So we'll just lock the horizontal lines for now. I'm going to select this first line, and I'm going to use the arrow key to move it to the side of the page. Now it's exactly at the edge, and I think that took it over the edge, so I'm going to just bring it back a little bit so it doesn't drop off the page. Now I can see it's there. We'll select all of the vertical lines, and we'll go to position, and this here will space the lines evenly horizontally. So we can just check at the top here on this measuring ruler bar that they are approximately 1 centimeter, not quite right. I might add an extra line in there. Now if this ruler hasn't come up for you, you can come over to File, Settings, Show Rulers and Guides. So when it's off, it looks like that. Show Rulers and Guides. So we can bring in guidelines from here by clicking and dragging. So I'm just going to do that so we can see pretty quickly where 1 centimeter is. It can be a little bit hard to line it up if there's already other things in the way because it wants to go to them. So I'm going to line up with the 4 centimeter line there. I'm going to duplicate one of these lines by selecting it. I'll select it, and up here is the duplicate symbol, or you can press Ctrl D and it's duplicated a line. So now we'll grab all those vertical lines again, position, horizontal, and it still hasn't lined up with that 4 centimeter line. We'll try adding one more line. So I'll click off, click back on. I'm going to press Control D, and you can see that line has popped up that we duplicated. Position, horizontal, there you go, now it's on that 4 centimeter line. So these are 1 centimeter apart. You could also count out the number of lines that you need if you wanted to. So now I want to deal with the horizontal lines, and I don't want to accidentally move these lines. So I'm going to group them together and send them to the back. So I'm going to right click, go to Layer, Send to Back. Now the lines that we locked before should be in front, so we can select them. So I think the quickest way to do this would be to click on one, select Position, go to Layers, and we can see that all of these are locked. So I'm going to press on the first one and then go down to the bottom one and press Shift and then click. Now I've selected all of the locked ones and I'm going to press Unlock. So they're all unlocked, and now I'm going to take about half of them away by selecting them and pressing Delete. Now this one I'm going to bring down to the bottom. The Space Evenly function and the Tidy Up function work from the first thing selected, the first element selected and the last one selected, so it will space evenly between that top one and that bottom one. Position, we're going to go to Arrange, Space Evenly Vertically, and we'll just check that that's 1 centimeter by pulling down a guideline from up here. So it seems a little bit wider. I'll just see if I can get it to sit on one of the centimeters. There you go, that's on 5 centimeters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to add, I'd say 2 more lines. So we'll click off, we'll grab 2 of these lines, and we'll press the duplicate button, and we'll select them all again. Position, and space them evenly vertically. We're very close to that line. I'll try one more. Duplicate, select them all, position, space evenly vertically, and we've gone a little far the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this button here to pull out just a little bit until it's exactly on that 5 centimeter line. So just there. Now they should be spaced 1 centimeter apart. And we can just pull these lines off the page by dragging them off. There you go, 1 centimeter spacing. Now, I just realized I broke rule number 1, which is I forgot to make a copy. So this is actually the original template, and I don't want to change the original template. So I'm going to undo everything I just did, and make a copy. So let's go to File, Make a Copy. And always work from the copy so that you always have the original template available if you make any mistakes or you change anything too dramatically. So let's go back down to the grid. This grid is actually a bunch of full stops or periods in a text box. Now this is not able to be selected because it's been locked, so we'll go right click, unlock, and then we can move it around. It's just a text box which I have spaced evenly by using the guide bars, the guidelines, and selecting the right spacing. If you'd like to change the spacing to something else. For example, we'll try 2 centimeters again here. So there's 4 centimeters. We'll move this on away. We'll select the font box and go to spacing. So this is letter spacing, it's the width between the dots, side to side. And then line spacing is how far apart they are from bottom to top. Now this already has a space in between each dot to increase the spacing, the letter spacing. But let's see how far we can get it on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We weren't able to get it far enough to have just 4 lines to the 4 centimeter mark. So let's add a space in between these full stops. So they have to be equally spaced. So once we've done this, we're going to have to delete most of it and copy and paste from up here. So I'm going to do a few, just a few more of these because we're going to have to bring it in a second. We'll click off, click back on, and we'll go to spacing again and bring it back until it's at the 4 centimeter mark. So there we have 1, 2, 3, 4. It's lined up with the 4 centimeter mark. So along the top there we've got good spacing. We need to make an extra space there, and that should be all correct. So we'll get rid of the rest by deleting it, and then we'll grab this top line and come to the second line. I just deleted that dot that was at the start, and we'll go paste. We need an extra space there. We can select all of this, copy, press enter, paste. If it goes off center a bit, just correct it. Grab it all again. Press enter. Oh. Click here and press enter. Paste. Paste. Oops. I'm pasting it as plain text so that nothing changes. It's missing one here. And we're missing one here. So I'm going to select most of these, copy, click at the end here, enter, right click to paste. Oh, and I forgot to paste it as plain text, so we'll try that again. Paste as plain text. Now that should be enough because we're going to space these out vertically as well. So we'll bring down some guidelines to wherever it lines up with the centimeter. There, it's working at 4 centimeters again. So we will go to the line spacing again and see how far we can spread it this way. Okay. It's working down the bottom but nowhere else, so I need to change that back. Click off it, click on it, and go to spacing. Now it's working. We'll drag it out until there's 4 dots. Now, this is not correct because we're not starting at the edge of the page. This is very close to being correct, but this first dot is not at the edge of the page. So we've gone as far as we can with line spacing. So we're going to have to add a blank line between each of these and adjust it again. So let's go to the end of the row, double click on here, press enter, and make sure, you might have to delete or backspace to make sure these dots line up. And press enter again. We'll just do this a couple of times. Because we can grab these 2 lines and repeat what we did before. Sometimes you have to click on and off if it doesn't work for you straight away. So I want this blank line as well. So come here, press enter. Enter. Paste as plain text. And we're going to have to backspace there and enter. Paste as plain text. I'll just grab all of that, copy, paste as plain text, and just make sure there's a space there. So let's see if that's enough. Then click off, click on, go to spacing, and drag it backwards until it fits. So we're just going to get it past that 4 centimeter line so we can adjust it here. We'll move this box. That's very close. But that's only 1, 2, 3. So we need to go back to spacing and bring it back again. And I think that is about as good as we're going to get. So now we just need to double click in here and delete these ones that don't have the spaces in between, and grab a few rows here to copy and paste. Remember to do it as plain text. And one more time. It doesn't really matter if it hangs over the bottom because we're not going to see that. And there's our dotted grid. We could move it around a little if we want to start the dots at a different point. And we can take off these guidelines. Now they're probably the most complicated of the pages. Oh, I can see here we seem to have an extra line, so delete it. There we go. Also, if you wanted to change the size of the dots, that would be a matter of clicking on it, going to the font. You could change the font, or you could change the size here, and you would then have to adjust your spacing again. So I'm just going to press undo to go back to where we were. Here, this page is, if we bring the lines down, we can see it is roughly 23 and 16, 7 millimeters apart, and you can just use these guidelines to make it the distance apart that you want it, and use the tidy up function. So this is currently grouped together. You might have to ungroup or unlock certain things on the page before you use them. So we can ungroup this, and let's say you don't care too much about how far apart they are, but you want it to be more spacious than that. Then just grab a bunch of them, delete, grab what's left, and right click, space evenly, and we can space them vertically. And there you go. Much wider gaps. You can check how much distance is between the gaps with these guidelines. 16 millimeters and 28 millimeters. So there's about a 12 millimeter space there. The next page is very similar, only it has a margin. So you can move the margin to where you want. You could also change the color by going up here and change it to black or any color that you want. You can change the color of these lines if you like. You can click on here, they're all grouped together, but if you only select one line, it might only change the color of one line. So when you click off it, only one line's been selected. I'm going to get rid of these guidelines we had on here before. To change all of the lines, you can click into the corner here, and now all of the lines are selected. We can go back to the color and change all of the line colors. Or you could also just ungroup them and select the ones that you want to change the color of. If you want to change the line thickness, you can come up here and change the line thickness. You can put it in here if you have a specific one you want to get to quickly. You can also change if it's a dotted line and to what extent it's dotted. I'll just change the line thickness so you can see that dot, dash, and a longer dash. Or just a solid line. On this page, there's a box for a little drawing or a prompt to go in here, a place for your name and date. If there's any elements you don't want, like the name and the date, just select them and delete them. You can take this up a little higher by going like that. If you didn't want the square to be separate from the writing, but you wanted all of the writing to be encompassed, you can bring it right down to the bottom, like so. We'll take that back up. If you wanted to change the border, you could click on it, go to border style, change it how you want, just like we changed the lines. And if you'd like a double border, press R to get a square or a rectangle and bring it up into here. And we'll create a border on this. And the color on the inside of the rectangle will make no color. We selected that up here and over here. Click off. And now you have a double border. To make sure it's in the center, you can go to position, center. It's grayed out so it is in the center. Also, if you move it around, you'll see that solid pink line is the center line, and that dotted pink line, the horizontal dotted pink line, shows you that it's centered in this element here, the element that's right next to it. Maybe you want a written prompt here. You could grab both of these together and take them up and then click off. Press T for a text box, and we'll write a prompt here. Journal prompt here. and make it big enough to be read. So there's a few ways you can change up this particular page. So let's go down a bit further. We've got a very similar page, but this one is more for people who are learning how to write, to give guidelines. I'll just put a text box in there to show an example. I'll just write A, and we'll make it a lot bigger, and then we can drag it into the size we want. So it's not the best example, but it's essentially for children learning how to write. If you wanted to add an example like this, you'd have to make sure the font was sitting in the right spot. So you'd have to get the correct font. I think there is one for handwriting. I'll just check quickly. Let's try Canva student font. And if we move that into position, it's pretty good. So something like that would fit nicely if you wanted. Now, I've grayed out the middle line just to make it look a bit different to the solid lines on the top and the bottom, to make it more of a guiding line. You can change it as you wish. You can see that these are grouped together. You can ungroup them. Just select that middle one. I've also made it a dotted line. You can change the color up here. Yes, I just made it grey to make it a little less obvious. Okay, the next page is similar, but this has a photo prompt. So this is actually a photo. You could download your own photo and upload it into Canva by coming over here, upload files, but you can also just go to Elements and go to Photos and select a photo from here, drag it in. You can adjust its placement by clicking on it. We'll go up here to crop, and then we'll just pull it up. You could also drag it out if you wanted, but I like it at that spot. So that's a photo prompt for a journal entry. Here's just some fun lines. You can change the color, but it actually is a lot of little lines put together, and you have to select them individually to change the color. So that's a bit fiddly, but it can be done. Actually, there is a way we could speed up the process if we select one, right click, copy style, and then we select all of the ones that we want to copy the style to. Ta-da! That's a lot quicker. Here's just a nice lined page for a journal entry or letter writing with a nice image on the bottom border. These lines are a bit more delicate because they're dotted lines and they're coloured a colour that suits the picture down the bottom. So if I wanted to change this up a bit, I'd probably go to Elements over here and search for bottom border and see what comes up. And you could go to Photos, but I would probably go to Graphics, and we could select this one. It'd be a nice one for colouring in. We'll send it to the back, go to Layer, Send to Back, so that we can delete the flowers on the top there. Then we could change the, oh, that's all grouped together. We can change that to black to suit the picture. I'd probably make them solid lines as well. I'm going to ungroup them. Select these ones, solid line, maybe even thick line. And I'll get rid of that bottom line there because it's going over the top of the picture. So there's a different look. If we wanted the element to be at the top, you could just select all these again, group them, move it to the side, bring this up to the top, and you can flip it around, or if that is not a good position for you, if it changes the style, you could go flip vertical and flip it that way, then bring the lines down underneath, and you have a different look again. Here's just another cute arrangement where you could put a little picture at the start. Perhaps it's a prompt, perhaps it's just a cute little image. You could, if you wanted to change it up a little bit, we'll ungroup these lines. Just select these shorter lines, pull them across, make them shorter, and instead of this guy we might put a text box. So we're going to press T for a text box, and we might put in write a really cool quote here, and make sure you spell it correctly. Come on. And we'll make it bigger, get it to fit in that spot. Making it smaller up here by clicking decrease font size or the increase font size. Again, you can change the style and thickness of the lines, and obviously the color over here. Now if you look here, it actually shows you colors that are in the images that we've used. So if we wanted to put an image in here quickly, we'll just go over to Elements and grab any image for now, and then we go back to the lines. We'll select all of the lines, go to the color, and we can see in this picture, here are the colors of the picture. So maybe we'll choose an orange from that element. I'll click off so you can see, and it's given us a matching color to the image we have. On the next page, we have 3 boxes for drawing, and then lines to write something that matches the images. Or again, you could put a quote in here, press T, write your prompt in here, make it whatever size you want, whatever spacing, and then someone could write their response to that over here. A good way to get a repeating look like in these additional boxes, if you wanted the same type of text look and layout, just duplicate that box and put it here, and then adjust what you want to type in there, and duplicate again for here. Another way to duplicate is to click and press Ctrl D. And if you don't like the text that's here, simply search for a different text here. The next page is very similar, only we have the boxes and the lines alternating. And of course with these boxes you can change the border style like we did earlier with the weight, the dots and the dashes, or a solid line, and you can actually curve the corners to change the shape of it. That's this curve up here. And if you wanted to make colour in the center, come up to colour here and choose a light colour. Down here there's some gradients, and repeat that process for the other boxes. Let's just go back to this box and see what thickness we made it, 10, and the corner rounding 30. So we'll go here, 10, corner rounding 30. Or you could type it in if that's any easier. So now it matches. Now if I had such a thick border, I might make the lines a bit thicker as well. So we have to select all the lines to do that. They're grouped together, so we'll have to ungroup them. Select, and probably 3 will do. And we can go copy style and then click here. But that's not ungrouped, so we only copied one. We'll ungroup that. While we're at it, we'll ungroup this one. Come back here, right click, copy style, and we'll select all of these. And then right click, copy style, and select all of these. Then I might bold this as well. I love how these simple changes can provide such a different look. This page is more like a weekly planner or prompt. Now this side of the page is just made up of a rectangle with horizontal lines that have been grouped together, and I've also grouped the text. So if you want to change that, you'll have to ungroup it, and then you can get rid of the lines if you like, or change their position. Maybe Saturday and Sunday you might combine, and I'll just write Saturday and Sunday, pull it out, get rid of this one, and I'll pull down this line. Now I want to space the rest of the days out equally, so I'm going to select all of these lines and tidy them up, but I'm going to need a top line as my outer reference, so I'm just going to duplicate one of these, take it right up to the top, and then I'm going to hold down Shift and press the other lines, and then I'm going to go up to position and space evenly vertically. And now Monday through to Friday is spaced evenly, and Saturday and Sunday are combined. You could grab all the text. I'll just delete that top one that we duplicated. We can grab all the text. I'm going to press Shift and click just on the text, and I'm going to go to alignment, center. I'm going to go to position, center, and I'm going to center it inside of that box. It should come up with that pink dashed line to show you you're in the center of that element. Might make this one a bold to match these days, and make the lines thicker. Gonna have to ungroup that. Maybe just 2, and that's all I'm going to do to change that one. Now for this one and pretty much the rest, the ones that we're about to look at next, they all have a lot of colour, so if you were making a printable product, you would want to consider how much ink this would use and how expensive it would be to print up at home. If you're making a digital product that's only used digitally, like on a computer or a tablet or a phone, then it doesn't matter, make it as pretty and colourful as you like. But yes, if you're doing printable products, I would suggest taking out a lot of the colour. In this example, we could click on the boxes and go to colour and make it white. If we made it no colour, then you can see the background colour, so it depends whether you want to see the background colour or just have it white. I do have a faint colour in the background here. If you want to change that, you can just click on the page and it comes up here. Otherwise, you can see over on the side here, background, and the colours come up to choose here. And you could choose white there if you wanted as well. Now this text has an effect on it, so if you click on it and go to effects, it's the hollow effect, and you can change the thickness of the outline. You could have an outline on the text, shadow, lift, echo, glitch, neo. These work better with different text, and there's a background. Now I've shown you how to change the font and change the size. You can change the colour here. When you have a background, white looks pretty good on most backgrounds. And then we could change the border colour to the background colour here if we wanted. To find out what that background colour is, we'll go back to the text box and effects, and it's down here. We'll click on it, and it's highlighted here. It looks like it's under the solid colours, magenta, CB6CE6. So we'll go back to the box, grab the border colour, and here it is, CB6CE6. And we can change all of that brownish colour to the colour we've selected, and that will change all of the box borders at the same time. This will change it over the whole design, so if this colour is on any other pages, it will also turn purple or magenta. But I don't think it is on any other pages, so I'm just going to press change all, and it's changed all the borders that were that colour to the magenta. Now I'm going to click this box, right click, copy style, and click the next box. Copy style, click the next box, right click, copy style, click the next box, until they're all done. And with this text, right click, copy style, click the text box, and we're going to keep doing that until this whole page is done. Right click, copy style. And I like what that looks like with the topic boxes, but not up here with the name and the date. So I'm just going to change this so that the text colour is the magenta colour and the effects are none. And then I'll copy the style and do the same for that. If these boxes seem too blank to you and you wanted to add lines, you could simply press L and a line will come up. And then you adjust it to the width and thickness that you wish and the color. And there's one last thing we'll talk about. You can change what the ends of the lines look like. You can also create a curved line, but we don't want to do that. But you can change what the ends of the lines look like. So maybe we'll put circles on the ends of our lines. Circle on that end, circle on that end. Let's have a look at that. Well, that's different. So let's duplicate that. So I want quite a few of them, so I'm just going to press Control D, keep my finger on Control and press D, and then, oops, I'm going to lock that box, right click, lock, so that it doesn't move, select these lines, position, tidy up, spread them out this way, make sure they're in the center, duplicate, bring it over here, line it up with the ones on that side, and we can duplicate this again to bring some down here. I'm going to delete any extras and then lock this box so I don't accidentally select it. Right click, go down to lock, and select these lines and pull them out to make them longer. Line them up on that side and on that side. Now, I think we've spoken a lot about how to edit lines and borders and fonts, so I'll just focus on the other elements for these next few. Now, to see what elements are on this page, because there are quite a few, I'm going to just click on something. This line will do. Go up to Position, go up to Layers. Now, it's currently, the whole page is grouped, so we're going to click here, ungroup. Oops, back to Position. Okay, so we can see that there's the text, we can see that there's lots of lines. Then if we click on here, that's one element, a translucent rectangle, another translucent rectangle, and we have 4 different images that are making up the edges. So they can actually be moved separately. And you can change how far in or out they are. I'll just undo that so it goes back to where it was. Now, I don't want to accidentally move those edges, so I'm going to select the first one, press Shift, select the last one, so they're all selected, and I'm going to lock them. Go back to Position. I might select all the lines and group them together so they don't accidentally go anywhere either. So scroll down to the bottom of the lines, Shift, click on that, and then I will click these dots in the corner and go to Group. So now all the lines are grouped together. So you can change the font, you can change the lines, you could get rid of them, make it a blank page. I'm going to press Undo. Now these translucent rectangles make it progressively fainter as it goes out. You can select one and go up to here to Transparency and toggle between more and less transparent. And you could change the color. So we'll go over here to color, and I think we'll choose this one that's a color that matches the picture. Okay, because that is so close in color to the font and the lines, I'm going to add an extra box, a white box, to go behind the font and the lines. So I'm going to press R. Click off of there. I'm going to press R, and this box is going to go just where it had previously been white, behind the lines and the font. I'm going to change the color up here to white and go up to position. Now this group here is all our lines, and this here is the white rectangle we just made. So I'm going to drag it down behind the lines, and there we go. And then we might go to the second transparent rectangle and change its color to a different color that matches the background, like so. And that gives it a different look. Also, now that we have this white square behind the font and the lines, it doesn't matter so much how far in these border pieces go. We could put a whole different image in the background. So I might just select the border pieces, go to position. They're locked at the moment, so I'm just going to select them all by clicking the top one, pressing Shift, clicking the bottom one, right click, unlock, and then I'm going to press delete and get rid of it. And I actually like the look of that right there without a background. But if you want a background, go over to elements and pictures and whatnot and click on something, and it'll be inserted into the background. So you can change it up how you want. But I liked it with no background, so I'm going to come over here, right click, and detach image from background, and just delete it. There's still a color in the background, so I'll right click. That's just the background color, so we'll come up here to the top where there's background colors. We can go over here to the side where there's background colors and change it up here. And I like it like that. So the next one is similar. There's a background image. If I right click, you can see detach from background. That's the image that was in the background. I can right click again, set image as background, and if you want to see what elements are there, make sure you go click on something, go to position, layers, so everything's grouped, and then we have the background. So I'm just going to ungroup these so we can see what we have. These are the lines. It's virtually invisible. It looks like I can't actually see them, but when I click on them, it highlights the lines. So these are the lines. We'll scroll down. After all the lines, and this is also difficult to see, there's the internal border and the external border. There is also a white transparent rectangle directly behind the lines, and a slightly bigger, slightly less transparent rectangle behind it, similar to our last page. So you can select these here. It would be the easiest place to try select them, because if you go over here you might accidentally select the borders instead. And I might just select that internal one and make it completely solid. So we'll go to transparency, put it at 100, and then I'll select the outer one and just make it a little bit of a higher number so you can still partially see the flowers through it. And then the lines, I might select the lines and make them a little darker, maybe the dark blue that's in these flowers here. So I will select one of them, go to position, select the first one, scroll down to the last one, shift click, and go to color, and the darkest color in the photo selection colors is this one, so I might just go with that. Click off and see what we've got. To make it more matching, we could make it the same color as the border. So let's click on one of the borders and see what color that is. So if we click into it, it shows you exactly what color it is. I'm going to right click on that and copy it. Then I'm going to go back to the lines. I'm going to go to position and select them all again. And then come back up to here to color. I can actually see that it's this color here, but if that color wasn't available, I could go to here and add a new color by right clicking in there and pasting the color we just grabbed. Alternatively, you can press on the pick a color from the design and go up to the border and pick the color from there. And if it's really tricky, you can just zoom in to get the color that you want and zoom back out again once you're done. Anyway, let's put that back in here, paste, and press enter. Now the lines match the borders. This one here is quite similar. There's an image in the background and a transparent white square on top, so you can still see the background image a little bit. And then the font and the lines have been matched up with the color of the background. So let's change out the background and try this for something different. I'm just going to click on this abstract one over here. Now I can't see it coming up in the background, which tells me that this is just a picture sitting on top. So we'll just delete the picture, and there's the image we just clicked for the background. This is grouped together, so we're going to ungroup it, click off it. I'm going to right click and lock this into position. That's the translucent rectangle I've locked into position, so that I can select all of the lines and change the color to a color that's in the background image. If you don't want, let's say this date section here, you can just delete the top bit, and then we'll stretch this line out to match the others. And you can just use the tidy up function to double check that that's all in alignment. That's all grayed out, which means that it is already tidied up. The font color we should change to suit the document as well, maybe this bright one. And let's have a quick look at the effects. I also might make it bigger to fill in this area here. So that echo effect kind of reflects the background a little. Or splice. You could experiment with that. Of course, you can also make the translucent rectangle here, which we'll unlock here, bigger so that there's less bold border out there. But if this is going to be printed up, you might want to account for some people's printers not printing right to the edge and just make the border a little bit thicker. Just want to make sure all of this is in the center. Position center, yes it is. It says that it is, but it really doesn't look like it. There we go. That looks better. Now this next one, is actually made up of lines that are elements. I'll just ungroup this to show you. Each of these lines is not a regular Canva line, it's an element. You can change the color of the element, but if you go to the border style, it's not going to change the thickness of the line, it's going to put a border on the line, on the box that the line is in. So we don't want a border on it, but you can change the color. The date section here is lines, regular Canva lines, so you can change them like you would a regular Canva line. The border, if you want to change it to a similar idea, it's simply two borders that I've duplicated the border and either flipped it or rotated it. So let's go to elements over here and search for border and go to graphics, scroll down and have a look at the borders that are here. There's quite a few corner borders. There's this very colourful border here, I like that. I might use that one in a minute. First I'll just show you how I did the border that you can see in front of you. Maybe I should write half border. Let's try this one. So I'm just going to leave that there for a moment while I delete what we already have. And then I'm going to spin it around this way. Bring it up towards the corners, spread it out. And I'm going to change it to black. Some elements you can change the colour of up here, some you can't. So I'm going to press Ctrl D to duplicate, and then I'm going to press flip up here and flip vertically. Because we rotated that 90 degrees, it has a different idea of what vertical is for this image. So I'm going to flip it horizontally, and then we've got a copy to bring down the bottom here. Make sure it's lined up, and if it's not lined up perfectly, you can use the arrow keys to adjust it a little bit, or if the arrow keys don't put it exactly where you want, you can press Control and you have a bit more control of exactly where you want to put it. And now that we've made the border black, we'll make the lines black as well. I can't access those lines at the moment because the border is in front. So I think the quickest way to deal with this would be to go to Position, Layers, and grab all the lines by pressing the first one, then scrolling down to the last one, and selecting Shift. Now they're not giving us an option to change all the colours at the same time, so we'll just have to do it one line at a time. By clicking the line, going to the colour, clicking black. Line, colour, black. Or here it says change all, and that will be the quickest way to do it. I don't think we have this goldy colour on any other pages, so it shouldn't affect other pages. Change all. And I'd like to get rid of a couple of lines at the bottom, so I'm just going to shift this to one side, delete those lines and put it back again. Finally, we'll just change the font color up here to black, and we'll leave it at that. But just quickly, I wanted to go back and look at that colourful border. Let's see if we can make it look completely different again. Here it is. So we'll just delete what's there. Put this border up. And we'll go to position, middle and center. And I'll send it to the back so it doesn't interfere with anything else we're doing. Right click, layer, center back. We can press Ctrl Alt, open square bracket, and I'll also lock it. So now what I was wanting to do, I'll put these two lines back here, was to alternate the colours of the lines. Now I'll just show you quickly what I'm doing and then I'll skip forward so you don't have to watch the whole process. I'm going to go to the colour, add a new colour, get the colour selector and click on the first colour. Then the next line I'll do the same thing, click on colour, oops it was already open, new colour, get the selector and click on the next colour. So I'll keep doing this and then I'll come back. Now I've coloured all the lines and I think that looks pretty cute. I think I'll just get rid of this one and I might select a more print looking font. Make it larger. Might even change the spacing a little. Oh, that's the letter spacing. I wanted to make the line spacing a bit smaller. And you could change each of these colours too. If you wanted to do it letter by letter or word by word. I might speed things along by doing it word by word. And there you have it. That definitely looks like a completely different page. Now, only two more to go. This one is simply, currently it's grouped together, so we have to ungroup that. I'll just right click and ungroup. But it is simply a corner element and a watercolor element, and you can either flip it or rotate it and put it in the other corner. So let's go to elements and type in corner. So let's try these green leaves here. And duplicate, spin them around, put them down here, and so we'll try a green watercolor. Now if you can't find green, there is a little bit of a trick you can do, and you can go up to edit here and see if you can vary the color a bit. But let's try this one. I'm going to spin it around so it goes into the corner here. Send it to the back so it doesn't cover the leaves. Bring it in a little. Make it a little transparent so it's not too in your face. And duplicate that. And maybe we'll flip it vertically just to give it a little bit of variation. And maybe have it in a different direction. Actually like that bigger splotchier look to it, but I might make it a little more transparent. And do the same here. I'll spread this one out. Oops. Grabbed the wrong element. Make it bigger. And spin it around a little. Undo. Okay, and then we'll make that a little more transparent as well. Looks good. Last but not least, this is similar to ones we did earlier. We'll go click on it and go to position to see what we've got. Layers. This is grouped, so we'll ungroup it. And it's simply two rectangles with borders, white in the middle with the one behind being transparent, and then a picture in the background. So we can change this up like we have before by going to photos is probably a good spot. That's still searching for green. Let's take that off. We'll go to Elements, Photos, See All, and if nothing comes up quickly that's interesting, oh, I like this. We're going to right click that. So I just clicked on that to get it on there, and then I've right clicked and I'm going to replace background. And I don't think I'd change the rest. I think that looks pretty good. You could click on these rectangles and change the border color, or the transparency, or how far in or out they go. But I'm happy with how that looks, so I'm going to keep it like that. And there you go, we're done. I'll just show you a quick side by side to show you how much we've changed everything. Now that you've got 20 or more new digital pages at your fingertips, I hope you find plenty of fun and productive ways to use them. Thanks for following along. That's it for today. Let me know if you learnt anything new or if this was any help. I'll see you next time. Bye.